right, y'all, what's going on? It's Combo Breaker 99 back with another video. All right, y'all, so everybody knows Claressa Shields just re-signed with PFL for another multi-year fight deal with PFL, which is good for her. Like I've been telling some people ask me about it. Do I think it's good for her to come back to women's MMA? I'm like, sure. Sure. The options right now in boxing at the moment, they're a little scarce. There is a young lady named Shadasia Green that's on the come up, but I believe she's supposed to be still kind of working her way up, and they're still in talks for Claressa to take on Shadasia Green. Still want to build her up. So in the meantime, there really isn't any other options for her in the world of boxing, right? So re-signing the PFL is good, and as long as it keeps her away from Keith Thurman, I'm fine with that. Stay away from Keith Thurman. We don't want to hear no more intergender fights. We don't want to hear about her fighting Sean Porter or Triple G. None of that. All right. But guess who also signed the PFL deal? That's what we want to talk about here. That's what some people ask my thoughts on here. Guess who else signed the PFL deal? None other than Claressa Shields' rival, Savannah Marshall. That's right, Savannah Marshall. She's trying to make her way over to PFL as well. A couple of days ago, I saw the announcement. I saw the article on it, but I actually saw the interview in the pre-fight show the night before the PFL event on Wednesday. Last night. On Tuesday they did a little pre-fight show, and they brought out Claressa and they brought out Savannah, and I was like, what? I was like, what's going on here? I never seen this coming, man, because in my opinion, Savannah Marshall always kind of just seemed like a boxer. Claressa as well, but Claressa always, there's something about Claressa. She's always looking for like a big challenge, and even MMA was kind of new to her. But for Savannah Marshall, for a fighter that hasn't really jumped around in weight classes, and to me just always had that demeanor like she just loved boxing because that's the background she came from, I never really would have seen her lacing up or strapping on the little gloves and jumping into the cage. I still can't believe that. I still have to see that night when it happens. They already got the pictures of her in the PFL outfit, but still, like, I can't really picture her taking somebody down or like throwing kicks, man. Like, she's got this long frame about her, but it's still something about Savannah Marshall just doesn't really look like an MMA fighter to me. I mean, good on her if she wants to try it, but my first thoughts when I heard that she had signed were money, man. I just said, oh, Savannah Marshall, she looking for that cash now. She probably seen the numbers that Claressa was bringing in, the numbers that Claressa does, and said, let me take a crack at this. Shoot, you don't know. Claressa Shields probably put her on game. Behind the scenes, you never know how it is with these fighters. Sometimes it always looks like they hate each other, but deep down, they're in the same boat, and they build like a camaraderie. Sometimes they build like this bond, and Claressa probably put her on game and said, hey, look, you know what? Hey, we stand to make a lot if we always tied together. So why not? So I really wouldn't be surprised if that was how it worked out for Shields. If Claressa Shields that's how it worked out for Savannah Marshall. If Claressa Shields told her, hey, this is what I'm making, or if she just seen like the numbers and she just gave her a little taste of what she's getting, Savannah Marshall probably said, you know what, all right, I'm gonna do this too, right? We already tied together, so let's jump in. I mean, they brought them out together, so with these two being tied together, there's money to be made, right? Now, with the money aside, the financial situation aside, I really do hope, though, Savannah Marshall has been laying the groundwork. I'm gonna say that right now, because MMA ain't no joke. Boxing alone is no joke because there is a lot of debts in boxing, but with boxing, it is just a one discipline sport, right? That's all you have to worry about. But for a pure boxer to jump into MMA and not really have that groundwork is tough on them. It really is. If you have like a grappling background, BJJ, or wrestling, or even, Sambo, or even like Muay Thai, disciplines like that, they usually can make a better transition to MMA. But usually, like, for pure boxers, it's hard. Like, even for Holly Holm, she came from a kickboxing background, but even then you still see like she's beaten like a certain level of fighters, but she hasn't really stayed consistent on beating A-level fighters even in MMA, right? Like, she can transition and she can move well, but even then, if you look at Holly Holm, she's still having trouble. So I hope that Savannah Marshall, they have been laying down this groundwork. Like this doesn't want. I'm hoping it wasn't just like this quick decision made on the fly. Now I know she's touched in BJJ. She said like she's done some Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but I don't know how far they've actually went on that. Like I've never seen her on the grappling scene like I've seen with some other fighters out here, like Caitlin Chikagan, Jillian Robertson, even Mackenzie Dern. You know, she was the BJJ legend before she came into the world of MMA, right? So they all had some type of groundwork. You've seen photos of these fighters when they were in these other disciplines before they got to MMA. But with with Savannah Marshall, it's always just been boxing, right? So I don't know. I don't know how far she'll get. So hopefully outside of the money, she knows this ain't going to be easy. Because Claressa, she learned that. You know, even her fans, even Claressa's fans thought that she could catch up to Amanda Nunes in only a matter of years, like she did. But all that came to a halt with Abigail Montez. You know what I mean? Like as soon as you seen Abigail Montez taking her down and just getting full mount on her, that whole story changed because there's a difference here. You know, even the boxing fans thought Claressa Shields could transition power over, but you know, she wasn't knocking anybody out in boxing. Like she's a real good boxer, but Claressa only had 2 knockouts. So what made them think that she was going to go in there and knock out a full-fledged, decorated MMA fighter in Amanda Nunes who hits like a truck, right? She hits like a truck. Those are Misha Tate's words. So, you know, there's just a lot of different things to look at here for, you know, Savannah Marshall going into this. So hopefully with her background in BJJ, it's more than just a side thing. Hopefully it's more than just like a dabbling thing. See, me, I'm not a fighter, but I want to get into BJJ. It'll just be like a side thing, just to dabble in. But for her, it's almost like another full-time job. When you get in MMA, it better be like another full-time job where you're on the grappling circuit, you know, because it takes years to put in this work. And wrestling alone, you got to have like 10 to 15 years just to be a game fighter, right? Even if you have 10 to 15 years of wrestling under your belt, if you jump into MMA, that doesn't guarantee you to be a champion. You know, look at fighters like Rose Namajunas. She's actually stepping back to step up her grappling game. You know, she actually got a new wrestling coach, you know, to work on her wrestling. Then she stepped into the grappling world, you know, to get better at that. So a lot of groundwork needs to be laid, you know, because PFL may not have the UFC level of fighters, you know, but even their lower level fighters right now that they have could do some serious damage to Marshalls and still Claressa Shields. You know, the fighters like Helena Kolesnik, Abigail Montez again, Martina Genrova, and of course fighters at the higher level fighters like Marina Mahatnika. You know, fighters like her, you know, I consider her to be one of the more well-rounded fighters in PFL, right up under Pacheco and Kayla Harrison. She's a dangerous fighter, you know, so I don't even know if they can get to that level or handle that level of a Sambo fighter, you know, that's actually transitioning some beautiful striking, you know, to her game. Amber Leibrock could be trouble. You know, she's a limber girl that can throw head kicks. You know, she's long and has power. That could be trouble for, you know, a boxer transitioning over. Aspen Ladd, Julia Budd, if they all tack on that 155 and take them on, no question, you know, no question, those girls could handle Savannah Marshall with ease, you know. So I'm just hoping that some type of groundwork has been laying behind the scenes that we haven't heard about. Of course, I haven't seen it on IG, you know, no wrestling coaches and no work in the grappling departments. I don't know. See, with Amanda Serrano, just so y'all know, Amanda Serrano, she also signed with PFL too, which is good for her. She'll be in the flyweight division. Amanda Serrano, she actually has some ground to stand on. You know, she signed over because she actually has a good working background. You know, she's fought in Combate, she's fought in Icon. You know, only 3 fights, but she also has a grappling record of 5-0 with 4 finishes. You know, so she's finished she's actually got 4 submissions on her resume. So she's actually been making some nice transitions from boxing to MMA and getting used to that. So yeah, she's got her feet wet. I don't know if Marshall is really touching any of that. Like I said, you know, Sambo, Muay Thai. So she's going to have to catch up. Now off top for Savannah Marshall, like I said, with her just coming into PFL against some decent level fighters that could really give them work and do damage, I think the number one thing she really needs to work on, first off, is transitioning her boxing over to MMA striking. That's something I always just have to tell, you know, a lot of fans too. Like, boxers just ain't going to jump in there and start knocking fighters out. Like, they have to transition to be an MMA striker. You know, they got to learn how to not overcommit to punches, turn their full hips into it because they got to reset right back to get out of the way of takedowns or avoid head kicks. They got to be able to flow combinations and get in and get out, to avoid getting, your legs chewed up or, again, getting taken down or clenched up. You got to be able to throw quick combinations and be right back into your position. You can't be front foot heavy because, again, your lead leg will get chewed up. Putting too much power into your shots, that's a no-no. You see Amanda Lemos, she still has trouble with that. Her coming as a boxer with these power punches, she's overcommitting the shots, and all it takes is one level drop and you're down on the ground, So Savannah can't think that she's going to transition her boxing power in here right away by throwing these hard, heavy boxing shots. Danielle Wolf, she learned that the hard way. She was throwing some boxing style punches and keeping that boxing stance against Norma Dumont. She was getting cracked, So you got to be a little bit looser in there on the balls of your feet, and you can't be heavy on that front foot. Like I said, you got to be able to throw kicks, check leg kicks, throw high kicks, throw body kicks, throw those front kicks, like a jab, so you got to establish the jab and the front kick for, Marshall, who is going to become a striker. It can't just all be hands. It's got to be kicks too. She's going to have to throw a variety of kicks in there. And I think Claressa Shields, she's starting to get that. Clarissa's starting to throw some nice kicks. She is. She throws some good body kicks, high kicks here and there. She's not that athletic like Holly Holm is, but there's some power behind her kicks. So, Savannah, going to have to get used to, limbering up a little bit. She has that long, lanky frame. So maybe she could throw those long kicks out like JoJo and, kind of capitalize off that. So I think Muay Thai is somewhere she's going to have to step in, within the next year. So I believe she has a broken hand right now. That's why she's not returning to boxing. So I don't know if that means she's going to do better in MMA right now, but she's probably going to have to let that hand heal up even before she jumps into the PFL. And I don't know if that will be right away in 2024 with the broken hand. Might not see her till the end of next year. So hopefully till then she could do some other types of training that won't affect the hand. MMA striking, boxing to MMA striking, and her takedown defense and her submission defense. Claressa, she's been working on a lot of that, and you can see it transitioning well. She's tough to submit. So much like fighters like Marina Rodriguez, who's Muay Thai, she works on her submission defense as well. But you got to have that ground game too. But I think Savannah Marshall, got to really work on her takedown defense, work on her strength and her balance, and using that cage, to her advantage, and working on her scramble, her pop up, to get back up. She's a big, long girl, so that's a lot of weight, to keep on picking back up when fighters try to take you down, or if you try to scramble back up. So her strength and conditioning for MMA is going to be really important. So yeah, man, those are just a couple of the things, but we already know the basics. Like, she's got to work on her jiu-jitsu, she's got to work on her wrestling, got to work on all of that stuff and put it together. I think with a fighter her size, Thai clinches would be important. So that's why I say Muay Thai, because Savannah Marshall, she has some big legs. Those knees would come in handy. Those elbows, she's got power, dirty boxing, all of that. So Muay Thai is another thing that I would suggest for Savannah Marshall. But how far does she go from here? I'm not sure. I'm not really sure, because it could just be, like I said, a money grab. She's already, in her 30s now. So trying to start from the bottom up, it's not really something that I see a lot of these female boxers trying to do. I think they want to get to a certain point where they can become a contender and get money, but they don't really see the next level of getting the belt. Maybe Claressa does, but I don't think too many of the fighters outside of Claressa and Holly think that way. Maybe, again, Amanda does. Amanda Serrano, I hope she does. I don't want to see her go in there and just take serious damage, but I like to see her advance. The ones that have held belts, I think they do see more than just money in it. So maybe Shields does, but it's going to take a lot. But, even with the fighters that are in the PFL level, it's really going to be tough to say she can just get by and beat some of those fighters in advance to catch up with, even, like I said, Kolesnik or Jinrova, Librock, Maatnika, and wow, even like Pacheco, getting up to that level, that's tough to say. So to me, if it's not going that far, I think it might be far enough just to build up a Shields rematch in the cage, because that's the ultimate goal, I think, with the PFL. You know, the PFL sees money in Shields, but they see more money with Marshall tacked to Shields, you know, knowing that the boxing match was a sellout and it was one of the biggest, selling fights for women's boxing, period. You know, they feel like they could capitalize off of that, even off a non-title fight with these two, you know, because having them trying to work their way up the rankings now, that's going to take years, and they might both take L's, or they might get serious damage. Like Marshall and Shields, they might get damaged along the way or get beat up along the way, put on for a 3-fight losing streak or something like that, you know. So they probably want to push them the right way against maybe some other newcomers they sign, and then eventually have like this big non-title fight between these two, because I don't know if they'll take either one of them and take the belt from a Pacheco or a Kayla Harrison at any point, or even these other fighters. Like I said, if they grab the vacant belt, because Aspen Ladd, Julia Budd, I think they would school him too. So they probably want to build these two up just enough to sell it out and make it a rematch, you know, for MMA as it was in boxing. But it really won't have the same ring to it, because they're pure boxers and they were champions in boxing. But with them just coming over to MMA and doing it as a non-title fight, it might not have the same ring to it, because it won't be. Will it be 5 rounds? Maybe they will make it 5 rounds, but who knows, right? So yeah, my final thoughts are for Savannah Marshall, I hope she's coming in with the right mindset to put the work in, because even on the low level, these girls are going to want to beat them up. Abigail Montez, she came in with that animosity towards Claressa Shields, and she was ready to put that work in. So any chance these lower level girls can get a high level boxer on their resume that talks a lot, they're going to be game to do it. So, you know, Savannah has to be prepared for that, because they're ready to school somebody that comes into the discipline. It's like I said, when a lion tries to swim across the rivers in Africa, crocodile sees it, he's going to take them and drown them and eat them, you know. So same thing can happen here for Savannah Marshall. So I hope she's putting in that work to get to whatever level she wants, so she can make that money, you know, and get what she feels like she deserves at this point, you know, as a fighter in women's combat sports. But yeah, guys, that's all I got on this one. Let me know what y'all think about this whole situation. Like I said, I really don't see either one of these fighters ever being like UFC level. It's just, I think at this point, like a big money grab and an attraction, because they're too they have a big rivalry. But what do y'all think, guys? Combo Breaker 99. I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.